Hey everybody, I'm Steve Owens, one of the tournament directors for the Georgia Bass Nation Kayak Series. And this is event number 6 of the 2024 season. We are on Lake Chatuge in Hiawassee, Georgia. I want to thank everybody for a successful season so far. Everything's been really, really good. We've got a lot going on in this industry and in the kayak community. I know everybody's spread a little thin, so we'll continue to work on deconflicting like we are this weekend. We've got, as I mentioned, several things going on. I'll get to that in just a minute. First, want to start off with thanking all of you for supporting the sponsors that we have. Um, it's evident, as you see on all of our signage and banners. Carl Black Chevrolet is one of our title sponsors, along with Dugout Bait and Tackle. Sniper Marine is our big bass sponsor. We're hosted by TurneyX on that management system, and we've got a whole host of other sponsors that you all see on all of our signage and banners. We appreciate what you do to keep those people in business and letting them know that you shop with them because they support our tournament series. So get into a few things before we go over the. I want to give a shout out to the Angler of the Year race. This will be the third season of the Carl Black Chevrolet of Kennesaw Angler of the Year. And so we had Joseph Gayton in year 1, and then last year Tom Kazmierski won it. And so this I in 10th place. Oh, I do want to clear up something. There's a graphic out there with our schedule on how many events it takes to win the Angler of the Year. And although we went to 8 events, we chose to leave it at 4 is what qualifies you for your Angler of the Year. When we did that, when we were discussing and building a schedule, I had made 2 graphics. One of them had that it took 4 events to win Angler of the Year. And then there's one that says 5 events to win Angler of the Year. And I accidentally posted the wrong one. And so someone just caught it the other day, literally yesterday. It is your top 4. It's your top 4. It's that way in Tennessee and Alabama. Now, not to say that next year, the reason we went with 4 was just because we looked back over 2023's numbers, and there weren't a lot of people that fished 4 and 5 events. So keep it, interesting and keeping people engaged. We wanted to stay at 4, but what we're seeing now is here we are. We've had 5 events, and we've got quite a few people that have fished 3. So I think we'll have hopefully 30-ish fish, 5 or so. That's a really strong Angler of the Year pool. So if we can keep that number up, we may go to 5 next year to win Angler of the Year. Because we did before I went to 5 and there was only 3 people that fished 5. I wanted to make sure that we had the engagement, and it looks like we do. So we're grateful that you all do that and trust us to put on a good tournament series for you. So having said that, I'll go ahead and get into the top 10. We've got Larry Bugg, 717 points. 9th place, Eric Hawks. We've got 8th place, Deshaun Johnson. 7th place, George Smith. 6th place, Adam Chansey. 5th place, Jeremy Meadows. 4th place, Luis Delgado. 3rd place, Nick Dyer. 2nd place, Tom Kazmierski. And then in 1st place, Joseph Gay. Some of you have a couple of duds, so all it takes is. And so with that, if you look at our schedule, we've got about a little over a month, and we'll be on Lake Russell and the Savannah River. And then again on August the 3rd at the Three Rivers event that we had hosted out of Milledgeville. So there's still some time for y'all to come after Joseph. So he's going to continue to try to fish them all. So we appreciate the camaraderie and the competition that y'all all bring. So that's what's going on. State championship. It took a while to get the engagement that we need to make that happen. And so we are going to be on Lake Hartwell, November. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. I believe it's, I don't even want to say the date. I'm sorry. I don't have it here with me. But here, so let's pull that up then. So we're looking at November 16 and 17 will be the state championship on Lake Hartwell. Chose that weekend because, October is jam packed with things, football season, some more tournament series, have championships going on. Weekend, I'd like to have the weekend before, but that's the Hobie TOC on Santee Cooper. And so we want to be respectful of that. And all of you that qualify for that, they still have a few events left to finish their season. So partake in that. They got Cayuga, Sinclair, and then they close out on Lake Chickamauga down here in Tennessee. So be keeping an eye on that schedule and get in on that. All right, getting into what's going on this weekend. I mentioned those there next weekend, and there's still time to sign up if you're interested. The Bassmaster Kayak Series is on Lake Guntersville. Registration for that closes next Wednesday. Reach out to me if you got any questions. If you're already a Georgia Bass Nation member, then that means you're a Bassmaster member. So you don't have to do anything. You can just sign up and pay your entry fee on Tourney X. So what's going on this weekend? We've got the Grassroots Georgia Kayak Fishing League, GAKFL. That link is on our Tourney X registration page. You can sign up there and fish that tournament tomorrow as well and double dip. All the times are the same. The identifier is going to be the same. And then also the Native Big Bass Power Hour opened up the waters that are in conjunction with the Queen City Club. So that event is open for registration. As a lot of you know, if you choose to fish it as well, you do have to have the printed identifier off of their website. You'll have to contact Vinny Ferreri if you got any questions on that. I don't have anything to do with it. And I'll be driving here in just a little bit on my way up to Chatuge as well. So I won't be able to do anything for you like that. If you have the Blue Fox 10 tournament tags from Queen City or the Native one, if you purchase those, you're allowed to use that. And you can use that in our tournament series as well. You just have to write our identifier code on it. So if you're fishing that Native tournament, pay attention to the differences. There are a few differences in the times that I'll go over here in a little bit. The rules are basically the same, but there again, you have to have their unique identifier or your fish will not be counted. There won't be any excuses for it. Won't be any exceptions. I've fished in them. It's run great. It's ran clean. The judging goes really well, but you're going to have that unique identifier if you want to fish it. So for this weekend, again, we're fishing Lake Chatuge. It's a 5-fish limit, 12-inch minimum length on that fish. Up there, cell signal's a little spotty. So throughout your day, I'm not going to be able to contact you most likely if you have a deduction. But there again, as I tell you, that's a courtesy we try to extend. It's not something that's mandatory. So if we don't call you or text you on the phone, it's your job to go into your Tourney X app. Some people are just not familiar that it happens. So I'm not scolding anyone, but if you pull up your app and look at it as you're watching this right here, you can click Manage Catch, and that shows your stringer. So if you've submitted a 20-incher and I deducted it a half an inch for a cracked mouth, or disqualified it because you didn't have your identifier in the picture, then you're going to see that deduction as a 19 and a half on your phone instead of a 20-incher, or you're not going to see that fish. The little bell at the top right hand, that gives you a notification when your fish has been accepted, denied, or even changed. So I know it takes a little bit of a time, but this is your lifeline, your Tourney X app. So it pays for you. It pays you to check that app throughout the day. So it's not as simple as just uploading your fish and then you're done. Because there again, we may not be able to get a hold of you and let you know that your fish has been deducted. So go to the Manage Catch tab in your Tourney X app. Check your stringer throughout the day. Sometimes your fish don't upload. So if your fish is not on there, then you need to stop and try to upload it again, because you only have that window of your fish submission time. So once that window closes, then I can't help you with any of your fish. So you may need to get off of the water because you don't have good signal, or you may need to actually make it to the check-in site before the fish submission deadline closes so I can get your fish uploaded for you. A little bit of rules for this. Again, download these rules and read them. They're on the Tourney X app as well. I'm not going to read them in their entirety. I'm just going to go over some highlight things. So A little bit of safety is your PFD needs to be worn. It has to be a chest style, no fanny pack. It can be an auto inflate or a manual pull cord inflate. You got to have a 360 white light if you're launching before safe light. If you're motorized, you have to have a 360 watt light as well as navigation lights. And if you have a motor and you don't have navigation lights, then you are allowed to launch with your 360 light and just kick, use your pedal drive or your paddle to fish until daylight comes up. And then once that happens, then you no longer need lights. You can let your motor down and then fish. So, um, reach out to anyone. First things first, if something happens on the water, always call 911. Kind of let people know at home or if you're fishing with someone where you're launching. But if you don't have someone like that, then just reach out to me and let me know where you're launching. We suggest you use the check in and out feature on TourneyX, but that's not mandatory. Um, be mindful of your pictures. Do me a favor. We have something that we rolled out with Sniper, our big bass sponsor. In addition to that big bass prize, if you have the Sniper pole on your kayak, take a picture of that Sniper pole with your fish held next to it, and then bring me that photograph along with your biggest bass that you caught on Chatuge with your Sniper pole and on your kayak, and then we'll go through that. And the biggest bass that actually has a Sniper pole on their kayak will win a $50 prize from them. So it's a Sniper Marine Precision program. So we're a catch board only series. I'm going to go over just a few criteria for your fish. Not all of these are, things that, are punishable, but I'm just giving you suggestions on things to where I can score your fish and give it the best length possible. All fish have to have their mouth closed, touching the bump board facing to the left, belly oriented to the kayak angler. We understand that sometimes you have to turn your board at an angle to get it to fit in certain kayaks if you don't want to hold it in your lap, which is dangerous. You can lose your fish. That's allowed too. But the fact that it needs to be facing touching the bump board with the belly down is the main thing. You can't flip it where that belly is on the top part of that board. That fish won't be allowed. It can't face to the right. It's got to be facing to the left where we can read it oriented that way. Don't cover the eyeball or have your hand under the gill plate. If you catch a fish with a funky eyeball or just one eyeball or looks dead-ish, go ahead and get the photograph of your fish and then start recording that fish laying on your catch board and let it into the water and get a video of it swimming off and submit that to me through either text, email, or Facebook Messenger. And that just lets me have evidence that your fish is alive, because if it looks dead, then we may not qualify that fish. So one thing to be mindful of, you can pinch and touch the tail, but I need to see the end of the tail so that I could score it on the catch board lines. When you have your identifier tag somewhere on your kayak, if you choose to put it on your catch board, make certain that at the end of the tail and your identifier, you don't have it like this. Put some space in between it so that I can read that number and those increments. Because if you don't do that, then I don't know what to score your fish. I'm going to have to disqualify it. Another thing is to check your tails. Make sure that tail's laying flat. So if that tail is not laying flat, if it's got a part of it raised, I can only score what's touching on that board. Sometimes I can't tell if it's touching that board, and then you won't get that fish scored either. So just be careful with that. So take your pictures and, before you let that fish go, put it back in your net or put it on fish grips or hold it in the water. Check your photographs for all of those things before you let the fish go, because you may need to put it back on the board and retake it. We're getting into the warm weather now. You should do it year round, but please dip your catch board in the water before you put your fish on it. That slime that's on the fish is actually a protective coating for the fish. If that slime gets worn off, those fish can start picking up parasites and sicknesses and then die. So that's why it's not good to handle a fish so much. I know we've all caught fish before, and if you pick them up and they feel kind of gritty or chalky-ish a little bit, that's a fish that's been carried around in a live well for a good little while, and that slime's gone off that fish. So be careful of that. Please wet your board. Um, One thing we like to ask you to do is get as much of the catch board in your photograph as you can. The entire thing doesn't have to be in there, but one of the more important things, along with the tail being able to be scored, is have as much of that bump board in the picture as you can. Sometimes they get cut off, and we understand it. It's hard to get the camera angle just right, but get as much of that bump board, all of it if you can. Leads me to another thing. Your photographs, make sure you have your camera over the fish, not shot at an angle. Some of these fish that get submitted are at such a drastic angle, we can't see the crack of the mouth to make sure it's closed and touching the bump board. It's shot at such an angle that it makes it really hard for us to be able to score that fish. So your identifier can be written on anything, your hand, catch ID card, something, as long as that 3-digit code is in the kayak. So times for this event, they're a little bit different than normal. We aligned with the native tournament so that we can kind of have the same standardization things. There are a few differences, and I'll go over those real quick. So both tournaments, you will launch at 6 a.m., lines in at 6:15 a.m. So it's only a 15-minute kick time after that. That's the way their series has been from day one. So we felt it wasn't that big a deal for us to do that too. Lines out is 2:30 for us and 59 seconds. The native is at 2:15, but theirs is 2:14 and 59. So you don't get that minute of 15. So 15-minute difference. So you have longer to fish in Georgia bass than you do native by 15 minutes. So you're going to be able to upload your fish in the Georgia event and the GAKFL until 3:30 p.m. And we're going to check in at the Hiawassee Brew in Hiawassee, Georgia at 4 p.m. So be ready to come and have some good food and a few beers if that's what you want. We'll be out there. We're going to hang out, make a good time of it. We know you all travel to do this. It's about all I got for this meeting. The main thing is if you're fishing the native tournament, please pull all of that language up and read it and get a hold of Vinny if you have any questions. But as I mentioned, we'll see you all at check-in, and we'll be on Lake Russell, Savannah River soon. We'll have those boundaries posted pretty quick. I'll have a few days off next week as we get ready for the Bassmaster event on Lake Guntersville. So sign up for that if you're interested. But we'll keep everything rolling. We appreciate you all, and again, the support you do for our sponsors. So we'll catch you in a little bit. Be safe, and above all else, call me if you have any questions. Cell signal up there spotty. Sometimes if you can't get a call out, you can still get a text out, and we'll do our best to communicate with you. But above all else, be safe and make certain that you check your stringers throughout the day, because you can have some issues with low cell signal. So be safe. Catch up with you in a little bit.